So we're going to look at 2018, May 2018 M2 paper. So this is May 2018. The first question is about area on a centimetre grid. So calculate the area of the kite. So area is just space within a shape. So the space there is 1 centimetre squared, 2 centimetres squared, and so on. You could count up the full centimetre squared, but then you have only parts here that you'd have to add together. And you can do it that way, but I'm just going to show you that we can rearrange the shape to make it easier to count. I can take that triangle and then flip it round to fit in here. And then I can take this triangle here and flip it round to fit in there. So once you rearrange that shape, it just allows us to see that the rearranged shape can take up the area of a rectangle, and that's far easier to count. So you just count your full squares there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 centimetres squared. Draw a line of symmetry on the kite. Well, the line of symmetry for a kite will be right down the middle, because when you fold the right hand side over the left, just try it again, then the line should overlap. That's question 1 done. That's 2 marks. Question 2, putting negative numbers into order, so ascending order, smallest first. So smallest, 2 largest. Now the smallest temperature here, the coldest temperature is minus 11 degrees Celsius, and then it goes up. So minus 11, next one up is minus 8, then minus 6, then minus 3, and minus 1. How much warmer is Moscow than Helsinki? So here is Moscow, here's Helsinki. So the difference between minus 8 and minus 11, well, that's going to be 3 degrees Celsius. And in the calculator, it's calculator paper, you could do minus 11 subtract minus 8 if you wanted to get 3. What is the difference in temperature between Helsinki and Stockholm? Helsinki is minus 11 and Stockholm is minus 1. So how far up the number line do we have to go from minus 11 to get to minus 1? We have to jump up 10 degrees. The mark scheme will also accept minus 10. Moving on then, question 3. The coordinates of the midpoint of PQ. PQ is just a line joining P and Q. So let's join a line. And we have to figure out halfway along that line. So halfway along is going to be somewhere around here. But exactly where is it? Well, if we were to take this route to go from P to Q, then we would be going across 1, let's try a different pen, 1, 2, 3, 4, and up 1, 2, 3, 4. So to get from P to Q, you would go across 4 and up 4. So to get halfway between P and Q, don't go across 4, go across 2, and up 2. And that point there is our midpoint. So you go halfway across, halfway up. Then the coordinate is going to be, let's just rub everything out. See, that coordinate is the coordinate minus 1, 2, because it's your x coordinate before your y, xy. Pie chart then, what type of fuel is most used? Most used, or used most, has the biggest slice, so that's oil. Measure the angle for electricity. Now I don't have a protractor with me, but the angle in the mark screen, it'll take 64, or it'll actually take anything between 62 and 66. Sean thinks about 3/4 of energy use comes from oil and natural gas. Explain why he's correct. So if he's right, if 3/4 comes from oil and natural gas, well then these two together will take up 3/4 of the pie chart. And 3/4 as a percentage is 75%. So if we can see from the pie chart that together they take up around 75%, well then Sean is correct. So let's look where oil and natural gas is. There's oil, there's natural gas. 42 plus 34.5 is 76.5. So Sean is correct, because when you add up your 42% and your 34.5%, then you'll get 76.5%, which is approximately 75%. And that's how you get your mark. Last part then, complete the statement below with a suitable number in the box. The fraction renewables over electricity is about 1 over something. So let's look up to the pie chart. There is renewables and there is electricity. So we're comparing these two numbers. So renewables is about 6, rounds up to 6. Electricity is about 18. So you're comparing 6 with 18. 6 on the top, 18 on the bottom. If you type that in the calculator and simplify it, you'll get 1/3. Therefore, this is 3. Moving on then, question 5. The total population of Great Britain and Ireland is 70 million. Information about this population is given in the table. So then when we add all of these numbers up, we need to get 70 million. So to work out the population of Wales, we'll have to start with 70 million and subtract everything else. Now you don't actually have to type in million all the time into the calculator, just start with 70 and subtract the total of these. So when you add these up, 54.9, 1.9, 4.6 and 5.5, when you add them up and then subtract from 70, you should get 3.1, because adding these up gives us 66.9. So in here, 66.9. Now, Sue thinks the population of Northern Ireland and Republic of Ireland makes up more than 10% of the total population of Great Britain and Ireland. So she thinks that together these two make up more than 10% of the total. So the total, this Great Britain and Ireland is already, we've been told that's 70 million. Okay, now the population of Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, well, when we add them up, they are here and here, 1.9 plus 4.6. Well, then we get 6.5. So the population of Northern Ireland and Republic of Ireland together is 6.5 million. Now, what is Sue saying? She is saying that the population of Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland makes up more than 10%. So she thinks that 6.5 million is more than 10%. So is 6.5 million more than 10% of 70 million? The answer is no, because 10% of 70 million is 7 million. So, for a proper answer here, no. 10% of 70 million is 7 million, which is greater than 6.5 million. Moving on, question 6, angles. Work out the sides of the angle marked X. So we have two angles together and two angles around a point. When you add them together, that's a bit rough, but they should equal 360 degrees in total. So we'll start with 360 and then subtract 75. What we'll get is 285. Circle the name of the quadrilateral as 4 sides. with rotational symmetry of order 2. So what that means is whenever you turn the shape around, it's going to look the same twice whenever you make one full turn. So whenever you turn a square around, it will have an order 4 because it makes the same shape 4 times. The kite won't make the same shape until it comes all the way back. The trapezium won't make the same shape until it comes all the way back. But the parallelogram will look the same whenever it's upside down, and then again whenever it's the full way round. Okay, next one. How many 1 centimeter cubes are needed to fill this box? So a 1 centimeter cube is it's getting us to think about volume here. Now, a 1 centimeter cube will fit down the bottom left and then all the way across. You'll get 6 across the bottom. You'll get 4 across the top, and it'll be 3 deep. So then what you'll do is you just do 6 by 4 by 3. And that's 72. So you have 72 cubes. So that's basically a volume question. So the volume of a cuboid is the length by the breadth by the height. And then the perimeter of the top of the box. So the top of the box is here. So that length there is 3, because that's how deep the box is. This length is 6. And then we have 3 again here, and 6 there. So when you do 3 and 6, and 3 and 6, you get 18 centimeters. Question 7. 7 factory workers and their manager earn these weekly wages. What is the median weekly wage? That's the one in the middle. But you need to make sure that they're all in order. So just check if these are in order. So 295 down to 245, back up to 300. So they're not in order. You'll need to put them in order. So I'll just clear some space here. So the smallest value, let's go through and look for the smallest with just a wee scan. 294, 245, 300. The smallest value here is 245. We'll cross it out. Let's look for the next smallest value. That is 259. We'll cross it out. Then after that, next smallest is 288. Then after 288 is 290. After 290 is 294. Then after 294 is 300. Next smallest of the remaining two is 300 again. And then we have 850. So the median one is the one in the middle. Now how many have we got here? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 values here, so there's no one number in the middle. So the middle of all these numbers is in there somewhere. It's in between 290 and 294. So what we'll do is we'll go exactly halfway between 290 and 294. And to work out exactly halfway between two numbers. Part B then, the manager's weekly wage is increased from 900 from 850. So it was 850. So if we increase this, is that going to change the range, median, mean or mode? Let's look through each of them. So does it change the range? Well, once that is increased, the range is the difference between the biggest and smallest. So that's going to increase by 50. So that is not going to go down in our answer because that is affected. Remember, we're looking for ones that aren't affected. Increasing 850 to 900 is not going to change the middle value. So it is not affected. So we're going to write median. The median is not affected. The mean is whenever we add everything up and divide by how many there are. So whenever we add on more, £50 more, well then the mean is going to change. The mode is unaffected because at the minute it's 300. And whenever we increase the last number, 300 stays as the mode. So the two that are not affected is median and mode. Question 8, I think of a number. Let's call that number x. Multiply it by 3 and add 1. So if I take out number x and multiply it by 3, I get 3x. And if I add 1, I get 3x plus 1. And whenever I do that, the answer is 28. So what was the number? Well, we're going to use our equation. And equations can be solved. The way we do them is we move this plus 1 over and subtract it from the other side to get 3x is 27. And then we'll move this 3 over, and instead of multiplying by 3, which we're doing on the left, we're going to divide by 3. So the answer is 9. Part B, think of a number. There's x. I subtract 1 from it and then divide by 4. The answer is 3. So we're going to have equals 3 at the end. But if I subtract 1 from x and then divide by 3, we're going to write it like that. Sorry. Try it again. Then divide by 4. We're going to write it like that. So subtract 1, divide by 4. Answer is 3. So there's an equation that we can solve. Now we're not going to move that minus 1 first. We're going to move the 4 to the other side. And because on the left hand side we're dividing by 4, we move it up and multiply. So our next line is x minus 1 is 12. Then we're going to move that minus 1 over. And we're going to add it to the right hand side. So x is 13. So you can check your answer. Plug 13 into the equation, into the question. I think of a number 13, subtract 1, I get 12. Divided by 4, I get 3. That's right. 9a, prime numbers. Prime numbers can only be divided by themselves and 1. So you need to know the first few prime numbers. And these two numbers, 61 and 67, cannot be divided by anything apart from themselves. Okay, now we have to think about square numbers and cube numbers. Square numbers are what you get when you multiply any number by itself. The cube number is what you get when you multiply any number by itself and then multiply by itself again. So 2 by 2 by 2 gives us a cube number. 2 by 2 is 4, 3 by 3 is 9, 1 by 1 is 1. They are the square numbers. So 8, well, that is 2 by 2 by 2. So it's a cube number but not square. 16, that's 4 by 4. 36 is 6 by 6. 64 is 8 by 8. That's also 4 by 4 by 4. And 100 is 10 by 10. So the one that is both is 64. 3 eighths as a decimal. Next question, you'll just do 3 divided by 8 in the calculator. And then hit SD. When you get 0.375. What percentage of 9 is 16? Well, as a fraction, it's 9 over 16. So if you put that into the calculator and times by 100, you get your a percentage. So just do 9 divided by 16 times by 100, same thing. And then when you do that in the calculator, you'll get 56.25. So leave that decimal in, 0.25. Question 10 is algebra. Bikes normally cost B pounds each. In a sale they are reduced by £30. So reduced is a subtraction. So you start with B and subtract 30. So then you do B, take away 30. That's it. Keep your pound sign in. Second part, helmets. Cycling helmets normally cost H pounds each. In the sale they are each reduced to half price. Write an expression for the cost of a cycling helmet in the sale. So if they started at H and then they're half price, it's just H over 2. Or you can write a half H, same thing. Write an expression for 4 bikes and 4 cycling helmets in the sale. So we need new sale prices. Now a bike, remember, one bike is B, subtract 30 from part A, but we want 4 of them. So we're going to put B minus 30 in a bracket and then multiply by 4. And then same for cycling helmets. Put H over 2 in a bracket and then have a 4 outside it. And we're buying both, so we'll add together. Now you'll be expected to tidy this bit up. 4 times H over 2. Well, if you think about buying 4 things at half price, you're going to be paying the value of 2 of the original prices. So 4 times a half is the same as 2. So our final answer, in the mark scheme, they'll allow you to leave this as it is. So you can have 4 times by the new sale price of the bikes, and then you'll have 2h. They will also accept 4b minus 120 plus 2h, because that's what you get when you multiply this bracket out. Question 11 is just a straightforward equation. There's a plus 4 that we want to move over here and subtract from the other side, so 5y becomes 20. That 5, circle it, move it over and divide, because you do the opposite. So right here what's happening is you're multiplying by 5, but whenever you bring it to the other side you'll do 20 divided by 5. So y is 4. And if you want to check, just plug that into your original equation. 5y plus 4 is 24, that's what we started with. So 5 times 4 is 20, then add 4 is 24. So 4 is correct. Question 12, a lot of information, and there's a couple of ways you can do this. So the packaging for a tube of toothpaste is 16 by 5 by 4. The manufacturer wants to be able to pack 150 of these into that bigger box. So the box is also a cuboid measuring 48 by 35 by 28. So will the box be big enough to hold 150 tubes in their packaging? So you must show you're working out. So like I said, there's a couple of ways you can do this, and the mark scheme has 2 different ways as well. So one of the ways that you might think is, okay, well, let's look at the smaller box. The smaller box is 16 in width. So how many 16s will be fit in here? Well, let's figure it out. If you do 48 divided by 16, you will get, let me see, 48 divided by 16, you get 3. So we're actually going to fit 3 boxes along the front. So let's see how many we can fit going backwards. So let's change the colour to yellow. So this dimension here, it's 5 centimeters in the smaller box and 35 in the bigger box. So how many 5s are in 35? We'll do 35 divided by 5, you get 7. So you get 3 across the front. It'll be 7 deep. And let's see how high we can stack them. So the height of the big box is 28. The height of each box is 4. So 28 divided by 4 is 7. So we can fit 3 across the front. They can go 7 deep and 7 up. So 3 by 7 by 7 gives us 147. So 147 boxes will fit into the bigger box. So is the big box big enough to hold 150? No, because 147 is less than 150. The other way of doing it is just to find the volume of the smaller cuboid and divide it into the volume of the bigger cuboid, and you'll get the same result. You get 147. 13 is a two-way table, so it's about male and female care assistants. So we just really have to fill in the missing numbers. So two-way tables have totals along the bottom, and they also have totals along the right hand side. So what you need to look for is a column or a row that has just one square or one piece of data missing. So 1 plus 2 is 3. So that's our first number we're going to write in. Then let's look for somewhere else that has one piece of information missing. So the far right, 8 plus something is 21. So that something is 13. So keep going in that manner, looking for, in this case we'll look at this female column, and you'll see there's one piece of information missing. So 2 plus 3 is 5. Then we have to add something to get 13. So that's going to be 8. Now where am I going to look? I'm going to look here. So the total's 10. We already have 8, so that's 2. And let me look at this one, top row. The total is 8. We have 1 and 2, so that's 5. And the last one here, 5 and 3 must be 8. So looking at the table to answer question B, how many male care assistants can work on weekends? So this is our male column. how many can work on weekends. Well, you have the ones that can work weekends only and the ones that can work both. So 5 and 2 is 7. Next question, John has a telephone line with the following costs. So the line rental is $18.99 per month and he pays 5.8 pence per minute that he uses. So this $18.99 he's going to pay every month. Doesn't matter if he doesn't even use the phone. But the fact is he uses the phone for 385 minutes. So for every single minute he has to spend 5.8 pence. So whenever you work out in your calculator, you get 2,233. And that's in pence. But if you divide it by 100, then you get pounds and pence. So the call charge that he makes in that month is £22.33p. But his total, you have to add on your line rental. So $18.99 plus 22.33 in the calculator gives you £41.32p. Question 15 is an angles question. So PQR. So PQR just means from P to Q to R. The triangle PQR. Now it says PQ equals PR. PQ equals PR in length. And it doesn't even need to say that because on the diagram it has these two wee dash lines. So because those dash lines are there, that means that's an isosceles triangle. It means that these two lines are the same length. But it also means that these two angles are the same. So if that's x, then so is that. That's x. So whatever the value of x is, it's the same for both angles. Now all three angles in any triangle add to 180. So to work out one of the x values, well then you'll start with 180. You'll subtract 70. And then you'll divide that answer by 2. So 180 divided by, take away 70 is 110. Divide by that by 2 is 55 degrees. So each of these angles is 55. Therefore x is 55. Second part, work out the size of the angle marked y. So I'm just going to zoom in on where y is. And there is x that we've worked out. If I continue x on round, we have a straight line. So together x and y make 180 degrees. So if x and y is 180 degrees together, well then 180 minus x is going to give us y. So 180 minus 55 is y. So y is 125. (16) is a stem and leaf diagram. The life expectancy for males in 12 countries in Africa for 2015 is shown in a stem and leaf diagram. The key is really important here. 53 means, 5 line 3 means 53 years. Now, how many of these countries had a life expectancy for males of less than 58 years? So this particular country was 49. This one was 50. 55, 55, 56, 58. We want less than 58. So let's count the ones. The ones that I've circled are all the countries that have a life expectancy of less than 58. So count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 countries. The median from earlier on is halfway. Now you need to make sure that everything's ordered. But the good thing about stem and leaf diagrams is that they are in order. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is that 49, that's the smallest value and 73 is the biggest. So we want the one in the middle. So the way to do this for a stem and leaf is we'll cross out the smallest one and then the biggest one. And you'll keep doing that. The next one after 49, next smallest is 50. The next one down from 73 is 71. So you're going to cross off the smallest one and the biggest one each time. Smallest and biggest. Smallest and biggest. Until you're left with one on its own or two on their own. So that value there is 58. And that value is 58. Now when you have two values in the middle, what you normally do is you add the two values together and half. But if they're both the same, you're just going to get 58 anyway. So the answer is 58. The range is the biggest take away smallest for any data. So the biggest value here in the stem and leaf is 73 and the smallest is 49. So 73 subtract 49. That's 24. In 1975, the life expectancy for males in the same 12 countries had a median. So a median of 49 and a range of 30. Compare the life expectancy for these 12 countries in 2015 with the life expectancy for males in 1975. So 1975 is this bit of information and 2015 is from the stem and leaf. So you just need to compare the medians and compare the range between the 2 years. So looking at your answer and the new information in part C, the median is higher in 2015 and the range is smaller in 2015. And that's all you have to do. You don't have to explain why, you just have to compare the two numbers between the 2 years. 17, another angles question. So we have 54 here, we have x here, y, and 33. We are looking first of all for x and then y. But let's just note the important things here. So these lines are parallel. And whenever we have another line going through two parallel lines, there are certain rules. So if I take out my yellow highlighter, why not? If I make a Z between parallel lines, well then this angle 54 and this angle Y are the same. So there's a shortcut to remembering them, they're Z angles. But the rule is they're alternate angles. So they're the same. 54 and Y are the same because they make a Z. The technical word is alternate. So I can fire in a 54 there for Y. Now what about the X? Well, you're still in between two parallel lines. So this is the line that's going through the parallel lines. Now if you imagine taking this angle and then just shifting it up to here, the two angles will overlap each other. You could trace one angle for the other, and that's really what has happened. So that's the same angle, just shifted up. So they're both the same. X is the same as 33. So they are what's called corresponding angles. Now you only have one mark for each. You don't have to give the answers for this particular question, but it's good to know the rules. Alternative angles give Z, and these corresponding angles, they are, some people remember them as F angles. This is just a test in your calculator. Make sure that whenever you're doing this in the calculator, that if you're doing it all in one go, put the top line in brackets and then do divide and put the bottom lines in brackets, and make sure to close brackets as well. So you should get 4 as your answer, final answer. 19, Pat buys 30 boxes of crisps. Each box contains 48 packets. 30 boxes, 48 packets. He sells 80% of the crisps at 60p a packet. How many packets does he sell at this price? Okay. So at the minute for this question, we're not worried about the price. Whoops. Sorry about that. So we're not worried about the price in this particular question. We're just worried about how many packets he sells. He sells 80% of a total. So the total is 30 boxes which has 48 in them. So you take the 30 boxes times them by 48. And there are 1440 crisps packets in total. But you want to see how many packets he sells at 60p a packet. So that was 80% of the total. So 80% of 1440. whenever you do that in the calculator. So in the calculator, 80 divided by 100 times by 1440, you get 1152. How much in total does he sell them for? Well, then it's 60p multiplied by 1152, and that is £691.20. So what I've really done there is 0.6, change it into pounds, times by 1152 to get £691.20. Part B, he sells the rest at 20p a packet. So how many is that? So the rest is 20% of 1440. Or just subtract 1152 from 1440. But if you do 20% of 1440, then you will get 288. So he sold these 288 packets for 20p, which is £57.60. So he made £57.60 selling packets for 20p each. Now how much did he pay in total? He paid £25 for each box. So £25 multiplied by how many boxes did he buy? He bought 30 boxes. So the amount of money that he spent is £25 multiplied by 30. So he spent £750. So this is what he spent. This is what he made, along with the first answer. So adding up the total of what he made, £57.60, plus our £691.20 is £748.80. So he spent £750. He made £748.80p. So did he make any money? No, he did not. He made a loss, and he lost £1.20. Question 20 then is a scattergraph. A group of pupils do a first aid course over 8 nights. There is a test at the end of the course. The table shows the number of nights each pupil misses on their test score. So the first 4 points, so these points are done. So number of nights missed is along the bottom, and test score is up here. So we're going to go across 2 and up 80. So across 2 and up 80 is here. Then we're going to go across 1 and up 82, which is here. Each one of these small squares up here is worth 2. So that one's done. Across none and up 86, here. Across 5 and up 42 is here. Across 1 and up 76. There we go. And the last one across 5 and up 46 is there. So we're asked to draw a line of best fit. So for a line of best fit, what you want really, you want the same number of x's above the line as below. So you use a ruler, as long as you have something like that. Maybe I'll just try and get the same below as above, so something similar. And then you're going to use your line of best fit to answer part C. So another people missed 4 nights of the course. Use the graph to estimate their score. So from 4 nights, there's 4 nights, you're going to read up with a ruler until you get to here, and then you read across. Now for my graph, roughly, it looks about 50, 53. So for a mark scheme will just say that, it'll not give a number, but it'll say that you've read your graph correctly. What type of correlation does your graph show? Well, because it's downward sloping, it's negative. But what does that mean? It means as you increase the number of nights, your test score goes down. But because it's downward sloping, it is a negative correlation. 21. A garden has a flower bed in the corner. The diagram is shown below. Calculate the area of the flower bed. So the flower bed is what shape? The flower bed is a triangle. A triangle. So the area of a triangle is half times the base times the height. So you could flip that triangle around if you wanted to, so it looks like this, so you can see the base. But basically, what you do is you just multiply the base by height and divide by 2. So 4.8 multiplied by 3.6 and half your answer. That'll give you the area of the flower bed, and that is 8.64. So there's a fence along the line AB. Where is AB? Here it is. How long is this fence? So we're still looking at this triangle, and because it's a right angle triangle, we're going to use Pythagoras. So I will actually do a wee sketch of the triangle, and we have 3.6 and 4.8. Now these are the two short sides, and this is the long side. Let's call it the hypotenuse H. So we'll in fact call them ABC. So when you take A and squared, B and squared, add them together, you get C squared. So 3.6 squared plus 4.8 squared is equal to C squared. So C squared is, whenever you put that in the calculator, 36. And then to get from here to here, you'll do the square root of 36 to get 6. Last year, company spent a total of 2,400 on advertising. This year they spent 2,796. So there's a formula for percentage increase. Now what you'll do is you'll work out the actual change, divide it by the original amount, and then times by 100. Now the actual change, what is that? That's just 2,796 subtract 240, the difference. And the original amount is what you started with, so it was last year that you started with 2,400. Now when you work out the top, divide it by 2,400, times it by 100, then you should get 16.5. Question 3 is a compound interest question. Best Bank offers a 3-year investment account with a fixed compound interest rate of 1.75% per year. Mr. Lucas invests 8,000 in this account. What is the value of his investment at the end of the 3-year period? If we're trying to learn these questions quickly, we might have to learn a quick method. So there are certain certain important things to note here. 8,000 is what you start with. 1.75 is the interest rate. Now what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to take 100% and add on 1.75%. That gives me 101.75%. Now I'm going to multiply by 101.75%. But because it's for 3 years, I'm going to do that 3 times. And I realise I'm showing you the quick method here, but we're towards the end of the paper here. And whatever we can pick up, we'll pick up. Now this isn't the method I want you to remember, I'm just trying to, I'm getting there slowly. So this 101.75%, the calculator might accept you writing it as that, but what I want you to do is change that by dividing by 100 into 1.0175. And instead of writing it out, multiplied, we're going to do it to the power of 3, because that's all that means. Whenever you multiply something by itself 3 times, you are cubing it. So I'm going to rub everything else out and just show you the very, very short method. That's what you start with. That's the number of years. Now this is the tricky bit. You take 100%, you add on your interest rate, but then you'll divide that by 100 to get it into a decimal. And once you've done that, type it into the calculator. There's 4 marks. So 8,000, 1.75 is in there, 3 is there. Whenever you type that into the calculator, then just looking it up, you get 8427.39. There's a longer method, but I just want to see what you think about that first. $24. So this is still a few questions left. Sue is training to compete in a 10k walk. Diagram of our local athletes track is shown below. The track consists of a rectangle. Here's our rectangle. And 2 semicircles. So our 2 semicircles actually could come together to make 1 circle. How many complete laps are needed to ensure she walks 10 kilometers? So essentially what I'm looking here is how long is a lap? Certain parts of it are dead easy. So this part is obviously 150 and this part is 150. But what about these parts around the edge? How long are they? So if I was to colour in this semicircle and this semicircle and then pull them together, what I will get is a circle. So those 2 yellow parts come together to make 1 yellow part. And the outside, the distance around the outside is just the circumference of a circle. Now the circumference of a circle is equal to pi multiplied by the diameter. Now the diameter of the circle, see the way that's 50? So is this. And so is this. And that's the diameter. The diameter is the total height or total width from one edge to the other. So to work out the circumference, I'll take pi, which is just a number in the calculator, 3.14, multiply it by the diameter, 50. So that'll give us the length of these 2 curved parts together. And pi times 50 is 157.1. We'll still have to add on our straight bits, so we'll still have 150 here and 150 there. So the whole lap is 157.1 plus 150 plus another 150. So the total length of one lap, when you add it all together, is 457.1. Now it's not asking you for the total length. It's saying how many laps do they have to do to make sure that they complete 10k. So 10 kilometers, that's 10,000. And you want to see how many laps are in 10,000, so you want to see how many 457s are in 10,000. So you do division, and when you do 10,000 divided by 457.01, then you'll get 21.87 something. But it's asking you for how many full laps you have to do, so you round that up to 22. So that's quite tricky. 25 is a graph showing the fare for a taxi journey of M miles with trusty taxis. Notice that it starts at £2, no matter how far you've gone. So even if you just get into the taxi and get back out again, that's £2. Calculate the gradient of a straight line. So the gradient of a line, pick 2 coordinates that are exactly on the line. See the way I've picked 2, 5, because that cross is exactly on a coordinate. There's no point picking somewhere like these, don't pick them. Pick 2 coordinates that are exactly on the line, continue that line down and this line across to make a right angle triangle, and then work out what's called the rise and the run, basically the height and the width of a triangle. The gradient is equal to rise divided by run. Now the rise here goes from 5 up to 11, so the height of that triangle is 6, and the width of the triangle, the run, goes from 2 to 6, so the run is 4, so the gradient 6/4. To put that in the calculator, you get 1.5, so the gradient is 1.5 or 3/2. Give a real life meaning to the value found. So the gradient is 1.5. Well, that means for every, the answer really is for every mile, each mile costs £1.5, which is £1.50. Classic cabs charge a minimum fare of £4 plus £1 for each mile travelled. So we're going to draw a graph. So remember what I said about even if you get in and back out of the taxi without going anywhere, you're going to have to spend a certain amount of money. Our graph starts at £4. Every mile that we're going to go further, we're going to increase it by £1. So let's go up here. So we're going to draw another graph that starts at £4. So it starts here. And after, if we go 1 mile and then we go up to £5, go another mile up to 6, another mile up to 7, and so on, and you should see there's a straight line forming. And that's the line done. So before you even go anywhere, you're charged £4. And if you go another mile, you charge 5, another mile after that, you charge 6. So that's how you draw that part. Use your graphs to work out the length of the journey. That will cost the same with both companies. So you see the way the two lines meet at this point? That means after 4 miles, if you have a 4 mile journey, it doesn't matter who you go with, it's going to cost the same. It's going to cost you £1. So after 4 miles, they both cost the same. Moving on, 26, Venn diagram. So we have to use all this information and put it into here. So 80 cable TV customers were asked whether they had a subscription for one of these 3. Cable, cable box, cable sports, cable cinema. 7 had subscriptions to all 3. I'm going to put a 7 in there because that 7 is overlapped by all 3 circles. So that's done, first part. Let's look at this. 11 had cable box sets and cable sports, but not cable cinema. So we want to put 11 where these 2 overlap. Box sets and sports. So there's box sets, there's sports. So I'm going to put 11 there. 14 had cable box sets and cable cinema, but not cable sports. So 14 where these 2 overlap, which is there. That's done. And then 11 had cable cinema and cable sports. Now you could be tempted to put 11 in there, but just be careful, because if it says 11 had cable cinema and cable sports, that means that there needs to be 11 in here, so that has to be a 4. Then part B, 36 had a subscription for cable cinema. So where's cable cinema? This circle here. So I need to make sure that inside this circle we have 36 in total. So adding up 4, 7 and 14 and subtracting from 36, and I get 11. Then 48 has subscription for cable box sets. So this circle needs to have a total of 48. So add up your 14, 7 and 11. 25 and then 32. Then that means I need to add on another 16. And then this circle here, cable sports, needs to have a total of 33. So 4, 7 and 11 is 22. Therefore that has to be 11. How many of the customers asked did not have any subscriptions? Well, just go back to the question, and 80 people were asked the question, and if we add up 11, 14, 16, 4, 7, 11, 11, we are 6 short of 80. So just add up everything you have in the Venn diagram and subtract from 80, and you get 6. The last question. Each player in a group of 15 players scored either 2 or X goals. The mean number of goals per player was 3. Calculate X. So because there are 15 players and the mean number was 3, that means that there were 45 goals scored. Because if you think about everybody averaging 3 goals, then 3 by 15 is 45. So from this table, from frequency tables, if 2 goals were scored 10 times, that's 20 goals. And if X goals were scored 5 times, that's 5X goals. So when we add 20 and 5X, we need to get 45. So there's an equation. Bring 20 over to get 25, divide by 5.